This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
I heard you've been looking for me, but you look for trouble. You're gonna see that your words are dangerous, your talk is cheap. So now I'm standing here, You tell yourself you know what to do when you realize that I am coming for you.
Place to Be Nation. Welcome back to another episode of Extreme Resurrection. I'm your host, James Gruenberg, and alongside with me, as always, is Steve Riddle. Steve, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Glad to be back, and we are now pretty much diving headfirst into a brand new year for ECW.
Yeah, and we've already established that Chavo Guerrero is like the new challenger for CM Punk. As on our last episode, they had a match where Chavo won. He would be number one contender, and Chavo failed to win as he gets counted out by the referee in that match, Steve.
Yeah, which was still really weird.
And we've also seen that tonight, as we get into it, that Jimmy Wang Yang and Shannon Moore, they'll have a WWE tag team title match here tonight versus the Miz and John Morrison, who hold the SmackDown titles.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen these two teams go at it now for like three a month straight at this point. So finally getting the blow off.
Yeah, and we're live tonight in Roanoke, Virginia. This is ECW on January 8th. We kick off with the WWE Tag Team Championship match. As we said, it is The Miz and John Morrison versus Jimmy Wang Yang and Shannon Moore. Shannon and Miz start off, multiple roll-ups by Moore. Also, this is a 15 minutes of fame Iron Man match. Sorry about that. So the winner of the most falls retains the belts, or we would have new tag team champions. So it's a 15-minute Iron Man tag team match, basically, as the 15 minutes of fame. Shannon and Miz start off, multiple roll-ups by Moore. Moore shoves Morrison into Miz, tag to Yang, flapjack to Morrison. Shannon prevents Morrison from using the rope. Morrison rolls up Yang for the first fall. Morrison goes to work on Yang, a moonsault to Morrison for the pin by Yang. So now we're tied 1-1. So you knew like right away this was going to be like a tie, basically. Like you would think that Miz and Morrison would go up on Yang and Moore here, but now they go right to a tie. So it's like they're basically like going for like the tiebreaker here. Miz and Morrison work on Yang's legs. Miz slams Yang's leg into the post. Elbow dive by Morrison. Roll-up attempt to Miz. Clothesline to the outside and a front flip by Shannon. Crossbody to Morrison by Yang. Neckbreaker to Miz. Corkscrew moonsault by Shannon for a 2 count. Yang scores a moonsault on the Miz, but the clock runs out. Miz and Morrison retain. For this matchup, Steve, I went 2 1/4. If you see on that last moonsault, Yang does not get the whole landing. He tweaks his knee a little bit too, so it was a little bit of a botch because I think he was rushed with trying to not delay with the clock and everything. He wanted to be perfect where it would ring him out before he got the 3 count. And it ended up being a little bit rushed here. But I went a 2 1/4 on the match.
I went 3 stars. I actually thought it was a solid tag. We've, standard for what we've seen from these two teams. Yeah, having it be Iron Man was definitely interesting because we've seen them trade wins and losses back. So we figured, this was going to be the rubber match. obviously some good stuff to start with. One of my favorite spots that Morrison always does is when somebody gives him the monkey flip and he does like the full rotation and lands on his stomach. I always like that bump from him. Obviously Morrison is go up with the first fall to gain the advantage. They do the double heat segment again, first with Moore and then with Yang, and then Yang and Moore tie it. So you figure whoever wins the next fall is going to win. That moonsault at the end there definitely looked bad. It looked like Yang really screwed his knee up because when he landed, and then the ending really just befuddled me. It's like, if you knew this was going to be the end of this, why not just have and you're going to have Morrison and Miz retain anyway? Why not just have them get another fall to win the match? Like, why did we need to get the draw? Which also begs the question for me is like, why do the Iron Man stip? I mean, I know they only had 15 minutes, but still, if this was all the amount of falls you're gonna do, why not just do like a 2 out of 3 falls match with the 15-minute time limit? I think that would have maybe made a little bit more sense. Because as we'll see going forward, we don't miss it. Yang and Moore don't really get another shot at the titles. They just kind of get thrown to the wayside, and then Morrison and Miz go on their way. So it's just really weird that they spent this last month kind of building this feud up, and then we get kind of just a meh ending to it with like no real decisive winner.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you here, and it looked like they were really trying to project that Yang and more were like gonna win the tag team titles, and well, not win, but like it would have been better if the ending wasn't a draw here, and they just go like right to it. Like I said, the finish was rushed because Yang is trying to match the clock as close as possible to be like, oh, if I don't get the 3, the clock will run out, and it did run out, so he tweaked his knee, and I'm surprised too. Like, hopefully that didn't give him like too much damage as well.
Yeah, it just again would have just made more sense if Miz and Morrison are going to retain anyway, just have them win, like get a second fall and just win. Like, what's the harm in beating Yang and Moore here? If you're not going to elevate them higher or even give them a title run.
I don't know. So that ends in a draw, and we'll see what happens now with the tag team champions as we get another Kofi Kingston vignette. He's beating up the guy who steps on the little girl's sandcastle here.
Yeah, it's funny watching these back. They reminded me a lot of when Carlito first debuted in 2004. Mm-hmm. They were doing kind of the similar vignettes. Him on like in like the beach and everything, but instead of obviously the difference is since Carlito was debuting as a heel, he was being a jerk to everyone, whereas Kofi, they obviously want to establish him as a face, so they have him being the hero here. So I just like the symmetry between those two sets of vignettes.
Yeah, it's very funny to see Kofi here beating up the guy. He's like, hey, you stepped on my sandcastle. Do something about it. So Kofi protecting the beaches of Jamaica from jerks. And now we have Taz in the ring. He is standing with Colin Delaney again. Taz asks like Colin how he feels, and Colin tells Taz that his body hurts everywhere. And Taz again pulling the old heel. He goes, well, I got another match for you, and it's with Mikey. It's with Mark Henry. And I almost said Mikey Whipwreck. I was like, well, Colin is being Mikey Whipwreck. Out comes Mark Henry. A head butt and a press slam by Mark. A banzai drop to Delaney and a press slam to Colin for the win. I gave it a 1/4 star. Like, I enjoy Mark Henry's presence. Like, he's vicious here. But again, we're just destroying Colin Delaney.
Yeah, 1/4 star as well. Yeah, Colin pulling out the old DDP ribs taped there. So obviously selling the injuries. And yeah, Taz again just really being a kind of a subtle dick to him. He's like, what? He's like, what went wrong last week? And Colin was like, I didn't get it. I didn't get it where I wanted it. It's like he had any chance against Big Daddy V. And then Taz Taz tries to get the crowd to says let's give a hand for Colin, and like half the crowd boos him. So they're trying trying to elicit sympathy, but not working too well. And then he says Taz is like, well, you're not going to face an ECW star this week. You're going to face a SmackDown star. And then he brings out Henry, who just completely lays waste to him. When was the last time Mark Henry did the bonsai drop? That was different.
That was out of nowhere. I don't know. I don't even think I've seen him do a bonsai drop.
Yeah, usually I think he usually does. If he does go up to like that middle rope, he does like a Vader bomb. Not usually the bonsai drop, but yeah, just another just more Colin Delaney getting his ass kicked by a monster heel.
Yeah, he got airtime on that like throw by Henry as well.
Yeah, he did.
So now we have a new broadcast interviewer here. Her name is Lena Yada, and she is hosting a dance-off between Kelly and Layla. I honestly think Layla won this by a long shot too. They're trying to make Kelly the babyface. Problem is she can't dance. However, Lena Yada then dances as well, and then Lena declares herself the winner since she's hosting the dance-off. So a weird dance-off because I honestly think Layla would have beaten Kelly and wiped the floor with her. And now we're getting this new Diva Brooke replacement here with Lena Yada.
Yeah, I completely forgot even she was a thing. So she actually so I was just looking up her bio here. So she actually auditioned for the 2005 Diva Search, made it to the top 30, but didn't make it to the finals. And then she auditioned again in 2007, the year prior, and actually made it and finished third. So so you figure at that point she was probably going to they were probably going to sign her at some point, and they did. And they had her as a backstage interviewer on the SmackDown before this episode. So it seemed like that's where she was going to be, but then, like you said, they move her over here, and yeah, kind of weird. They do this this obviously continuing the feud with Kelly and Layla, and I agree. Layla completely dominated Kelly here in the dance scene. Not just her, but Lena too. And then Lena, kind of going rogue, saying that declaring herself the winner because she was the host. So, I mean, if anything, it's just another woman to add to ECW for reasons, and just to continue the feud with Kelly and Layla. But I did this. I was listening to the commentary. You notice that it seems like we've now finally dropped the whole Kelly and Balls Mahoney romance thing.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, and I was just looking up to see what happened. So apparently, I don't remember when it was last we saw him, but we won't see him again. He's actually done for us.
Oh, gee, he got released? Oh, man.
Well, I guess he's out with an injury right now, so he will make an appearance on the February 29th SmackDown, and then he gets released on April 28th. So
okay, yeah, because I thought I would have thought that he was suspended for a drug violation too, and yeah, we have no Kenny Dykstra and Victoria on these 2 episodes either.
Yeah, no, I guess they're putting that off now.
Yeah, I guess if Balls Mahoney got injured, then I guess they had no use for Kenny and Victoria here on ECW as well. So who knows if they'll come back.
We'll
so
see.
Then, yeah, and whoever idea it was to have Kelly to dance off when that Layla used to be a Miami Heat dancer. It's bad. It's bad booking and bad writing. You're trying to make Kelly the baby face. Yeah, you put her in a dance-off where that Layla has been a professional dancer for the Miami Heat.
Yeah. So their answer to that was just to have Kelly basically do a half striptease just to get the fans on her side. So but yeah, Layla definitely embarrassed her.
Yes. Then we have a Shelton Benjamin promo. He's backstage saying he will win the Royal Rumble and he will win the gold. So he's the gold standard. He declares himself going to win the Royal Rumble. Ain't no stopping him, Steve.
Although he could be doing something else.
Yes, he probably can be. Oh, man, if only that guy, John Cena, didn't return in 2008 at the Royal Rumble. Shelton Benjamin could have won.
I don't know. That was a pretty stacked Rumble.
Yeah, it was. I mean, you just have to eliminate Triple H and The Undertaker. But you could have won, Shelton. You could have won. Spoiler, he doesn't win. Now, if our main event here again, it is for the second time in a row. It is CM Punk versus Chavo Guerrero. Hip toss by Punk, shoulder tackle by Chavo, monkey flip by Punk, drop kick to Chavo, uppercuts by Chavo, spinning enziguri to Chavo to the outside, body scissors by Chavo, kicks to Chavo's back. Chavo gets tossed to the outside, shoulder dive to Chavo on the outside, springboard clothesline by Punk, backbreaker by Punk. Chavo counters a running knee bulldog by Punk. Punk counters a suplex. Chavo counters the GTS into a backbreaker for a 2 count. Chavo then grabs the ECW title belt and attempts to hit Punk, but the referee sees him with it. Before he can hit Punk, the referee rings the bell anyway. So Chavo Guerrero gets disqualified here, and Punk gives Chavo a GTS for his troubles. I actually liked the match, Steve. I gave it 2.5. Just a wonky finish, again, because Punk doesn't get pinned and Chavo doesn't get pinned. It's another weird finish here. But I gave it 2.5.
Yeah, I went 2.5 as well. I mean, say what you will, these two have, put together some good chemistry in these last 2 weeks, and the matches aren't bad. It's just Chavo is just so blasé as a potential challenger. I mean, his offense is fine. Punk makes a good spirited comeback, but then Chavo looks like an absolute dope there at the end. It's like first, before he went to get the belt, he tried to take the turnbuckle pad off the buckle, and then when the ref's distracted by it, then he goes out to get the belt, but then the ref catches him, and then Chavo just looks like a complete putz. He's like, was he really that frustrated that he couldn't beat Punk that he had to resort to this? And then Punk ends up giving him the GTS at the end, so Punk stands tall. And you figure at this point that this was going to be it. Chavo now has had 2 chances. He's blown essentially both of them. So we'll have to see now if he gets if they decide to give him one more chance.
Yeah, this is going crazy. Like, we really, again, you have Shelton Benjamin. You're going with Chavo Guerrero, and a lot of like blown up storyline. Oh, like a lot of blown up like storylines here. Again, like you said, no more Balls Mahoney. Where's Tommy Dreamer? We know where Elijah Burke is, and yeah.
Where's
Mark
Big Daddy V?
Yeah, Mark Henry is destroying Colin Delaney, and they just go back to SmackDown here. So our main feud is Chavo Guerrero and CM Punk, because Shelton Benjamin is just doing Shelton Benjamin things.
Yeah, and what's even weirder is that we're now for this next episode, we're a week away from the Rumble, and there's like hardly been any talk about that show, or about if the ECW title is even going to be defended at it. Who's going to be we know Shelton's going to be in the Rumble for ECW, but we don't know about everybody else. It's like just really bizarre with what's going on right now in ECW.
Yeah, and again, not up to the best start for CM Punk, who's the ECW champion. It's going downhill very, very, very fast. 2007, it was great, but then it's like release after release, kind of, for 2007 guys. Started out with Test, he gets released.
Yeah, and even with Punk, it's like his reign started strong, but then like after the Survivor Series, he became embroiled in that tag feud with him and Kane against Big Daddy V and Henry, and he's not really had any, legitimate challengers to the title. And now they're trying to, heat Chavo back up out of nowhere, but again, it just feels so blasé. Again, it's just I know we, like you said, we hate harping on it, but you got fucking Shelton Benjamin right there. I mean, he's got this new character over. His whole goal is that he wants gold. Why not go after the ECW title?
And that inverted bulldog, it looks like a crazy code, like almost like not like a code breaker, but like I thought he was like putting the knees up and hitting it with the code breaker too. But it's a very good finisher.
Yeah, he and Punk could have really good matches.
Yeah. But again, they want Chavo for some reason.
well, for those, if you're watching what's going on SmackDown, there's a reason why they're having Chavo in this spot.
Yep. As we get into it with our next episode, this is ECW on January 15th, 2008. We're live in Birmingham, Alabama, and Edge comes to ECW for the Cutting Edge. Edge says he's excited to be on ECW. He says that he will beat Rey Mysterio at the Royal Rumble, and it's not even going to be a contested battle. Edge says he's just going to lay out Edge and lay out Rey Mysterio and defeat him. And we see SmackDown highlights. Edge beats down Rey Mysterio after Rey Mysterio beats Chavo Guerrero. And then Edge welcomes CM Punk as his guest. Edge says Punk reminds Edge of himself, like this young, hungry superstar wanting gold. And then Edge actually calls out CM Punk and has a dig. He goes, "Who did you really defend that ECW title against?" And then CM Punk goes, "Oh, I've beaten a lot of people, and I can beat you too." And I thought the dig was pretty funny. It's like, who did you really defend the title against,
Yeah, almost like that was like a work shoot.
Mm-hmm. Then Ed says, you remind me of myself because, I was stupid too once, but I learned how to become a real champion, basically. Punk says he respects Chavo's, and again, he says he can beat Edge as well. Punk tells Edge that this is ECW. It's his show, and out comes Chavo. For the third time, Chavo challenges Punk again, and Edge and Chavo beat on Punk as Chavo pie-faced Punk right into Edge, and then Edge just decides to start beating up on Punk as well, and they both throw Punk into the ring post here. And then when we get back from the commercial, Edge is seen leaving the building. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on this one, Steve?
I thought it was a good Cutting Edge. I thought Edge and Punk had some good, back and forth. Like you said, the dig at Punk of who have you really beaten. But then of course Punk, kind of shoots himself in the foot when he says, like, if Chavo wants a third opportunity, I'll gladly give it to him. And sure enough, Chavo comes down and asks for it, and Punk gives it to him. But then a good little beat down there by by Chavo and Edge, injuring Punk's shoulder.
Mm-hmm. So now we have a tag team match here. It is the W Tag Team Champions, John Morrison and The Miz, versus the Highlanders. So it's not another Jimmy Wang Yang and Shannon Moore tag team. It is the Highlanders, who I do remember them. They were part of like they were on Raw for a long time. With Crime Time and all those times that they would have they were trying to get the tag teams back again. And we have Rory and Morrison starting off, flapjack by Rory. Miz pushes Rory off the turnbuckle, running knee by Miz, drop kick by Robbie. And then, a brawl ensues, and then Miz gets the reality check by Miz for the win here on Robbie, and I gave it a star and a quarter, but it's a star because there's no offense at all by the Highlanders. You know, they get a couple of shots in, but again, the Miz ends up getting the reality check and they win. So I would say it's a star, really, Steve.
I did star and a quarter. It was fine, you know, kind of. I actually forgot the Highlanders were still around at this point. I thought they were gone, but still, you know, hanging around. Obviously, I think they just want to give, you know, Morrison and Miz a new team, and to kind of get some, you know, regain some momentum after after what happened the previous week. Because I think with that match ending in the draw, there's still some question if Morrison and Miz, you know, of the legitimacy of of still being the champions is what I should say. But they come back here, they get a nice little solid, you know, non-title title win here over a decent team just to kind of keep themselves going.
Yep. And now we have another Kofi Kingston vignette. He is coming next week to ECW. So finally, next week we're going to get the debut of Kofi Kingston. And it's also going to be in HD as well as Kelly comes out. She takes her robe off and says that she can't wait for WWE to go HD and they're going to have a best body contest. Why not just call it a bikini contest, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but yeah, like you said, we're got finally Kofi's debut coming up, and then Kelly comes out and shows off, and she's definitely looking pretty good here. I love Joey and Taz, you know, saying about how, you know, she looks good in any definition, and Joey's even like, she looked good in the 1950s black and white TV.
Oh man. I feel like that was a callback to Beaver cleavage.
Yeah.
And then, so now we have Taz. He's in the ring again with Colin Delaney. Taz shows highlights of all the Colin Delaney beatdowns he's gotten. And then Taz asks how Colin's career will turn out. And he's like, well, I hope it turns out well. You know, right now I'm hurting, but I'm ready for another match. And Taz says, oh, well, you're going to face a former WWE champion, and out comes Kane. Yeah, let's see how this one goes up. Colin puts his fist up, big boot by Kane, sidewalk slam, and a choke slam. For this one, I gave it a dud because nothing stood out. This was like a clean 1, 2, 3 fast like segment here. It didn't even deserve a rating. But again, it's a dud. It's just Kane coming out for a pop.
I think this might be a record. I think this is my 4th quarter star Colin Delaney match in a row because I think I gave the Shelton match and the Big Daddy V match the same rating. But yeah, it's funny. We had the zombie on the very episode of ECW, and the way Colin's going with the tape on, he's going to become the Mummy soon. With every, because he's got like on his arm, he's got more on his ribs, and but this was weird. It's like, I get you wanted another monster to face him, but now you bring out, you know, Kane, who's a face. Yes. And you're trying to again elicit more sympathy for Colin, but now you're having him get squashed by a face. That just was really weird. I do love how Delaney like put his dukes up, and Kane just kind of gave this cue like, oh, isn't that cute before booting him in the face, and then like grabbing him by the throat while he's on the mat, hoist him all the way in the air before hitting the choke slam was a pretty cool look. So, so again, just another squash here. But again, like, you know, I mean, have we already run out of monster heels to you know, kill Delaney? We have to bring in a face monster now.
Yeah, I was like, why didn't they just give it to Great Khali this time?
I'll just wait. That's coming. Spoiler alert.
Should have given it to the boogeyman, you know, as a monster. Where's the boogeyman? You know, he's still in the, he could have gotten Kevin Thorne too, but you had to let him go. You know, where's Mike Knox? Where is everybody?
Speaking of which, Thorne, he's still in the open, even though we haven't seen him.
Yeah, so is Boogeyman. Boogeyman and Kevin Thorne are still in the open. That's what I was gonna say too.
Yeah,
Might have to start putting Chavo up there now.
might as well.
Speaking of that, CM Punk is backstage, and in comes Armando Estrada. He is like, you got to tell me right now, are you ready to fight Chavo? Because CM Punk is icing his shoulder, and Punk says he will fight Chavo tonight. Then we have a Raw recap. I remember this Raw episode where Jeff Hardy did the Swanton Bomb off of the stage onto Orton. It was a sick spot, Steve. Do you remember this?
Yeah, I do. Because of course these two are supposed to face off at the Rumble, so when they're showing the recap, they were showing about what happened prior, how Randy took out Matt Hardy, because that was around the time when Matt had to go to the sidelines because he had his appendix had burst. So Matt took him out to kind of put him away. And then, they're supposed to have a match, but like Orton got himself disqualified within like the first 2 seconds. And then, like you said, they fell on the stage. And then first, the backdrop off the stage to the floor was pretty sick. And then, Jeff climbing that scaffold thing up to like the one level, and then going up even higher and just coming off with that, like, super, super swanton. It was just, it was just insane.
Yeah. Not really like, not necessarily Shane McMahon jumping off the top of the Titantron, but just doing that front flip right there, was very, very intense. So then we get a Royal Rumble card breakdown. Again, nothing with ECW title in it. We have Ric Flair versus MVP in a career-threatening match. We have the 30-man Royal Rumble. We have Jeff Hardy versus Orton for the WWE title. And we have Edge versus Rey Mysterio for the World Heavyweight title. And I was bought on Jeff Hardy beating Orton here at the 2008 Royal Rumble. I thought he had a better shot than Mysterio did beating Edge.
Yeah, well, you figure Jeff was getting such a big push at the time. He had just beaten Triple H at Armageddon to get the title shot. So you figured at some point here between like now and Mania, perhaps Jeff was finally going to break through and get himself get a world title.
Mm-hmm. But so we'll see how that turns out, really.
Yeah.
And now we have another matchup here before our main event. It is Shelton Benjamin versus Nunzio. Backflip by Shelton. T-bone suplex to Nunzio. Kicks by Nunzio. A big boot by Shelton. Drop kick by Nunzio. Buckle bomb by Shelton. And inverted bulldog for the win by Shelton. For this matchup, I gave it a 1.5 because I really enjoy Shelton here. Nunzio did give a little bit of a fight, though, too. But I enjoy Shelton's performance, so I gave it a 1.5, Steve.
I gave it a star. It was a basic squash. Nunzio not even getting an entrance. He gets the jobber entrance this episode. But again, just another showcase for Shelton. He kind of schools Nunzio a little bit. I like that release, that like T-bone throw almost. Really, what it was. Not really more of a suplex. And then that really stiff buckle bomb in the corner leading into the finish. Just another good win for Shelton here, as he's again just it makes you wonder why he's not doing more than this.
Yeah, and then he says ain't no stopping him, and he gives Nunzio another bulldog. So now we have our main event. It is CM Punk and Chavo Guerrero for the third time. Will this third time be Chavo's third time the charm, or will Punk win again and we don't see Chavo again? Let's move on to Shelton, people. But again, here it comes. And Edge comes out. We thought that Edge had left, but he didn't. He comes out to do commentary. Kicks to Chavo by Punk. Armlock by Chavo. Chavo gets thrown to the outside. punches and kicks to Punk when we come back from break. Enziguri to Chavo. Drop kick by Chavo to Punk. Shoulder breaker by Chavo. Somersault senton by Chavo. A backdrop by Chavo. Drop kick and a running knee to Chavo. And then Edge hits... Well, actually, the running knee to Chavo, and then Chavo counters the Bulldog and throws Punk to the outside. Edge hits CM Punk with the World Heavyweight title, and Punk now gets counted out. So Chavo actually wins this match by countout, but again, he doesn't pin CM Punk. He wins by countout. I gave it another 2 stars, Steve.
And I give it another 2.5 stars. Again, we're very, very in sync with our grades tonight. For these episodes. Again, just more good, solid stuff by these guys. I think they did really focused. Chavo focused on the arm, which is smart because that's what he injured earlier. Punk getting again his spirited comebacks. But yeah, this time the X factor was Edge when he hits Punk with the title. But yeah, again, another weird. This is now the 3rd straight non-finish with these guys.
You did not have to protect Punk here at all. You really could have had Chavo win and be like, well, you didn't beat me fairly, but I'll still put my ECW title on. You had to have help from Edge. What were you protecting Punk from?
Right. It's like you couldn't even I guess they thought that because they had to protect Chavo those 2 weeks, they didn't want Punk to lose, to get pinned. But it's like you said, there's your out right there with Edge.
Yes.
Have him hit Punk you can still have him hit Punk with the bell and he falls back into the ring and Chavo pins him, or have Edge distract Punk and then Chavo gets a roll up with feet on the ropes or whatever. But it's it's like knowing now that Chavo's going to get a title shot the next week, it would have behooved, as much as we've been kind of, complaining about it, would have behooved them to give Chavo at least a pinfall win to prove that, and plus it gives him more motivation because it's like, well, the 2 times you beat me, you didn't pin me. I've now pinned you. So, so that gives, that puts more doubt as to whether, if Punk's going to retain the next week or not. But yeah, just again, really bizarre decision to have another count out.
Yeah, well, at least we have something to look forward to. Now we know that Chavo Guerrero has earned his spot in a weird way to be the #1 contender for Punk's ECW title. So not a great start to 2008, wouldn't you say so, Steve?
Not really. I mean, there's not so much. There's, like I said, we got the Rumble coming up, but ECW feels very out in the cold with that show. We already know Punk and Chavo's not going to be on the pay-per-view. It's going to be on our next TV. We know all we know about right now in terms of who's going to be in the Rumble for ECW is Shelton. You figure others are probably going to be in it, but really there's just been no. ECW just feels like now it's become almost on an island of its own at this point.
Yeah, with some visits from SmackDown superstars, but not really. What happened to that SmackDown portal? Doesn't seem like it's really helping anybody. It's not really helping ECW here. No. Well, that's going to do it from us here on Extreme Resurrection. But before we go, Steve, do you have anything you want to direct the listeners to?
So you can usually find me over on the PTB Pop Experience. I have a few shows over there. The Video Jukebox Song of the Day, Mickey Mount Rushmore, and Pop Goes the Classics. Myself, Andy Atherton, and Miranda Berthold, we're going through all the Disney films. Our most recent episode just dropped where we discussed the 2011 Winnie the Pooh. It was a lot of fun talking that film, and if you want to hear some good rants from Andy Miranda about parenthood, I definitely recommend it. It's a lot. It is a lot of fun. So be sure to listen to that. I do occasionally appear over on the North-South Connection as well with Carnoso and a couple of shows over there. So please be sure to follow along there as well. Also be sure to subscribe as all of the feeds, this feed and the North-South, Backbone, and the Pop feed are all on YouTube. We're putting in all the back catalogs on there for those feeds. So please be sure to to give us some likes over there and to subscribe to our channels. We really appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I subscribe to the YouTube channels as well, and I look forward to everything that is going on in the YouTube channel as well. As for me, you can find me mostly on the Place to Be Nation wrestling feed. I have this show, and I have Nation Invasion, where my last guest was Jeremy Nichols. We covered October 1st and October 4th Raw and SmackDown. On the October 4th SmackDown, Rob Van Dam beat Kurt Angle to give Stone Cold the #1 contender spot for the WWE title versus Kurt Angle. He'll take on Kurt Angle on October 8th, 2001 from Indianapolis. And The Rock and Chris Jericho and Mike Chioda had a 6-man tag team matchup versus the Dudley Boys and Nick Patrick. So we now know that Stone Cold is getting his rematch here. Looking to try and get back with that, I was supposed to have Tim Taylor on, and I'm going to try that again because, with Raw being on Netflix now, not all the Raws are in the Raw vault. So I might have to use some different methods to watch Monday Night Raw, as well as we know the SmackDowns are still intact on Peacock along with the pay-per-view. So I'll have to see how that goes. And also you can find me on the Place to Be Nation pop feed. I have a podcast. It's now called Pop Goes Degrassi, where me and John Casalico, we review Degrassi Next Generation. We just recorded season 1, episode 15, the season 1 finale called Jagged Little Pill, where Ashley decides to throw a beginning of summer rager party with all the characters and all their friends, but she takes an ecstasy pill, and will that have dire consequences? So you'll have to find out. Been listening to Pop Goes Degrassi on the pop feed, and I was also a guest on 90210 No So, Beverly Hills 90210 with JT and Tim Capel. I did season 3 episode Chicken It Is, where we find Steve playing chicken with cars, and a little bit of Brandon gambling here. Also, Andrea is trying to find who hit her in the hit and run, and Brenda and Kelly go on a blind date with a young Seth Green here as well. So that was a very fun episode to go back and listen to. Well, that's going to do it from us here tonight on Extreme Resurrection. I'm James Gruenberg. He's Steve Riddle, and we will see you next time.